Good grief. It's a new day. There's new opportunity, but I'm depressed. I'm still in shock. I'm worried about several things. I have all kinds of negative thoughts running through my head. Well, guess what? You just signed on to the right thing at the right time because I'm going to help you turn that good grief truly into a good grief experience. We are going to journey through healing in a positive, healthy manner. Now, let's start with today. It's Valentine's Day, y'all, and you're hearing it galore. Happy Valentine's Day! Happy Valentine's Day! Happy Valentine's Day! And that word happy is far from what you are right now because maybe you've lost a loved one, you've lost your identity, you've lost a job, you've experienced a divorce, you've lost all your money, you lost all your effort. Whatever is the case, you're grieving right now. And that's the last thing you want to hear is happy anything, right? And on top of that, if you've lost a loved one, or you lost at love, you don't even want to think about today. You don't even want to consider everything that's going on or see it at all. It bothers you. It triggers you. Rightfully so. I understand. There's many things that trigger me. This morning when I woke up, widows were heavily on my heart. And I could only imagine how people feel to have lost their significant other. Now, this message is not only for them, but it's going to be for all of us who are grieving loss, who cannot see beyond the happy. So I want you to stay tuned, and we're going to use the story of Naomi to be able to see the hope for our future, to be able to turn our bitter into better. Now, the story of Naomi is in the book of Ruth, and it's a very short book in the Bible. I'm going to give you my rendition. You go read the whole thing for yourself later. And forgive me if anything is out of context, but this is basically from my memory, y'all. So there's this lady named Naomi. She's living in Bethlehem with her husband, got 2 kids. Life is good. I'm married, got the kids, got everything I need. But then comes a famine or a drought, something of that sort, and they have to leave their homeland and go somewhere else, somewhere foreign. Well, when she goes to this new place, she's surrounded by new things, y'all. New people, new types of worship, but yet she still worships her God. I want to note that. Nothing is the same. The Bible doesn't necessarily tell us that in plain context, but through the clues of where she was and what was going on. Just think about it. To pick up and leave with your husband and kids and go somewhere totally new, that's a big adjustment in itself. But then, bam, her husband dies, leaving her a widow. But, Naomi's like, okay, that hurts. I want my husband, but I still got my 2 sons. Her 2 sons, they're married, but they never have any children. And then, bam, her 2 sons die. Whoa, now, come on. You just took everything. I'm in a new place. I've lost my husband. I've lost my 2 sons. And back in that day, if you don't have a male heir, then you kind of were living in poverty because you had no one to care for you. Well, she had these 2 daughter-in-laws, and she heard that back in her hometown, things were looking up. And she's like, you know what, y'all, I don't have nothing left. I'm just going to go return back to what I know. And she tells the daughter-in-laws, you guys go on, live happy lives, go back to your moms and dads. But one of her daughter-in-laws, Ruth, says, "No, I'm going to go with you. I'm going to take on your God as my God. And where you die, I will die. I'm going to be with you to the end." Basically, she was a ride or die Ruth, right? So Naomi, she couldn't push Ruth away. In her bitterness, she was fighting this blessing of having a companion. Yeah, she had lost her husband, she had lost her sons, but she was fighting off the companionship and what could come out of her together with her daughter-in-law. But because Ruth was so stubborn and determined, she goes with Naomi back to her hometown. When Naomi arrives, y'all, you know how town folks are. They like, "Can this be Naomi?" She says it herself. "I left full and the Lord brought me back empty." So I'm going to put it in another context. I left rich and now I'm poor. I left in a pleasant way, which means her name, and now I come back bitter. So much so that she said, "Don't even call me Naomi," which means pleasant and sweet. "Call me Mara." This lady wanted to change her name. That's how bitter she had become because of everything that had happened, rightfully so, in her life. But she started to fall into this self-loathing and seeing life only through her perspective of loss, that she was missing out on the things that were going on and that would transpire to bless her. Well, one day, Naomi, I guess she starts to say, "You know what? I need to kind of move on." Maybe Ruth had wore down a little bit. So she starts to talk to Ruth about being a companion to Boaz. And ultimately, Ruth marries Boaz, and they have a child named Obed. And the town people say, "Naomi, this is Naomi's son." I'm like, "Wait, what?" That was Ruth's son with Boaz, not Naomi's. But the child became a redeemer for her. But not only for her, y'all. Obed is a start to the redemption for all of us. Because Obed was the father of Jesse. And Jesse was the father of David. And Jesus came through the lineage of David. So what was so devastating, cut down to the core of loss, became the greatest redemption and love of all. I know it's hard, y'all. I've been in your shoes where I felt like I've been landscaped down to nothing at all. And it is hard to pay attention to what remains because we're so focused on what we lost. But today, I just want to encourage you to choose to be better, not bitter. Don't let what has happened in your life bring you to a point of surrender to your grief, your depression, your anxiety, your worries. Seek for the things that can be gleaned, that you can learn from your situation. When we lose a loved one, when we experience divorces, when we put our all in only to get a return of nothing, it is very hard to be trusting and vulnerable in life ever again. It's very hard to have a picture of hope. One day at a time, one step at a time, and you will get there. And I tell you guys, a lot of times people say time heals all wounds. Another thing, love. It was Ruth's love for Naomi that accompanied her back to her hometown, that kept her going because Ruth was doing the work. to help feed them and supply things for them. It was through Ruth that Naomi received redemption. There's some things around you that are still fruitful and that will help you be better, not bitter. As I always tell you all, be present in your healing and keep your faith. Always and forever, keep the faith. Today may not look the best, but tomorrow will be better.